Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me Gardening. Today we have a list of fall garden tasks to accomplish. Welcome to our garden here in Zone 5B/6A, upstate New York. Today we are working in the fall garden. As you can see around me, we have already done an immense amount of cleanup. We've put the cushions away, we've got our planters all cleaned out, but there's a couple of things we wanted to share with you and how we do them. One of them being covering our fountain up for the winter, preparing it for those deep freezes we get throughout the winter months here in upstate New York. We're gonna start protecting these Tuff Stuff Top Fun hydrangeas over here with some awesome hoops. We wanna get the framework of them installed in the ground before the ground freezes solid. We've got bulbs to plant, but before we start anything else, we wanna get this Moffat Blue Juniper into the ground in our new garden space.
It's really exciting to be planting in the new garden space for the first time, especially with something that we've been loving for the last couple years in a container. So you can see, of course, the lime lights are gone. This area has been top dressed with topsoil. The company we order from had run out of compost, but that's okay. It's top dressed. It looks fantastic. And you can see as I'm backing up through these curves, how this space is really it's just going to be wonderful to walk through on this little hidden path. Of course, it is a gorgeous, sunny 32-degree day.
It is a sunny fall.
There might be a few little shadows today. But here is this Moffat Blue Juniper that has been sheared a little bit last year because it was already starting to outgrow this container. This is going to be fun to get out. I think...
I brought a handsaw.
Well, I mean,
in case.
I also have my hoary knife that you got me for Christmas a couple years ago. I don't know, when we picked this up, I actually helped the guys that were putting the topsoil down to carry it off of the terrace. This thing is heavy, incredibly heavy. So we just have to get it out, and then we're gonna dig a big old hole and pop it right here so it's kind of tucked in with the blue and the green, having a contrast. We know junipers do well for us in our area, so this should thrive and blow up.
And Moffat Blues stay very narrow. They get about 4 to 6 feet wide, and then they get 12 to 15 tall. So I think that is gonna be a great little spot for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm wondering if we should tip this on its side and then give it a little tug and see if it just comes right out as one piece.
We could try. Now, these are Tusco containers. We do have a link to them in our Amazon store. We've had them for the 6 years we've been here, and they're really good, but they do have
there's a little lip on the inside
because they have this rolled rim. They're made out of plastic.
So I'm just going to see if I can make sure there's no roots tucked up underneath that little lip, and then maybe I mean, this is also some annual roots, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we haven't been watering it because we wanted it to be lighter. I think the other thing we might want to consider doing, Christopher, is just placing it in that spot to ensure that's exactly where we want it.
You know, that's not a bad idea.
So we're thinking this is the spot. Where Christopher's standing, you have to remember there's going to be a weeping Japanese maple.
Yeah, some kind of expansive maple moment right here. I think it's the right spot.
I think it is too. I think it's hard to garden design when you don't have all the components in front of you to work with. But if you can imagine a small tree where Christopher is,
look,
filling that space in, you can see how this all works together. And there's the other juniper to the right side of Christopher.
Yep, the sea green.
Yep, and there's the evergreen behind him up on the hill. It's all going to work. Now, the green giant arborvitae, they do get pretty massive, but they're super easy to trim and prune, and we like a full, lush look.
So I actually think it'll be fine when these two touch. If this starts to be a bully, we'll just shear some of the back off and let this fill in.
Yeah, I agree. So I think the next step is to, maybe we should start digging the hole. Well, let's see what kind of root ball we get out of there first.
All right.
And then we'll know how big of a hole to dig.
Do you want me to try tipping it over and giving it a tug and see what happens?
I mean, you can.
I just have it in my head that I'm gonna do this.
Okay. No, I think you should. Here, let me straddle this and hold it.
It actually doesn't move.
Yeah.
In any way.
Okay, I'll put the camera down.
Let's make this happen.
Together. Are the roots just making it cling?
They're just making it cling. This goes right in. Love the roots layer. A new reason to have one right there.
I didn't realize how off-center I planted this tree in here.
It's like really off-center.
I know. So we got to remember that when we're digging the hole. Here, let me rotate.
It's funny how it's not the largest tree we've ever planted on top.
It's the largest root ball.
Definitely the largest roots.
Well, actually, maybe the beech tree, the tricolor beech, was the largest.
That was really big.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to pull this while you pull that?
Let's see what happens.
Or do you want me to pull the tree while you pull that?
I'm in. Here we go.
Oof, Justin.
That's working.
It's working.
I don't know if it's working.
It's moving more than it was.
It is.
I want to switch places. I have a little more body weight to put behind it than you do. Ready?
Yep. It's not attached anymore. I think it's stuck on the lip.
Yeah, I think it's stuck on the lip too.
Oh, I have an idea.
I have this.
No,
I'm probably just got to go deeper this time.
No, I'm going to put the roots layer in under the root ball.
Oh, and lift it
so that
leverage.
Yeah, because see, that's where the lip
the
is.
The darn lip. Ready?
Ready.
Oh, good thinking. That worked perfect.
Ta-da! Oh my gosh. That's a root ball.
This is going to be a heck of a hole.
Oh my gosh. Well, here,
wow. Okay. Well, that's cool, I guess. Wow, that is a tremendous root ball. So when you're planting evergreens in containers, I guess think about the future.
This area's been dug up a bit, so it shouldn't be too hard till we get deep.
Now we also have turned off our hoses at this point. So this is gonna have to be hand watered in. We have a hole dug. It is barely big enough to fit this tree. And I don't understand in TV shows and movies how when they dig a hole to bury a body, they're just like, there you go, 6 feet deep. I don't know how they do it because this was
hard
a beast
work
right here. So here's the juniper. There's the hole. It's going to be a little bit high, and that's okay.
All right.
Actually, it's a good height. It's not too high at all.
No, I don't think that's too high. Yes, the front's going to look a little bit high, but there's going to be more rocks up in here that'll get topped off and kind of shape that in a little bit. But in the meantime, it's just better, I think, for this to be in the ground, insulated, than in the container over winter too.
I agree. I'm going to step back here and see how it is as far as... It's definitely leaning forward, or towards you.
Okay.
How's it look from your angle?
From my angle, it's nice and straight up and down.
I don't know if that did a thing.
It's still straight up and down from this angle. How do you feel?
Oh, it's better from this angle. I guess it did do a thing. Oh yeah. I'm comfortable burying it now.
I think we bury it.
If you come in here, Christopher, I want to show how when you plant a new tree or anything, you want to make sure the root flare is exposed. So this is actually a branch I had trimmed off in the spring, but you definitely don't want to bury anything too deep.
Do you think it had gotten a little bit too deep in the container?
No, I mean, this is the original sand that it came balled and burlapped in.
Okay.
I think that is just plenty. And then I'm going to go ahead and move these stones back. We can touch all of that up in the spring if we want.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need some more stones because it's to encourage drainage. And as you can see where Eric is, a lot of the stones are kind of on this angle and they don't fill in this lower part that actually is where the water is gonna flow.
And so part of the design plan here is, we'll have our Japanese maple there, and then all of this will be very low growing, shade, moist loving evergreens like sarcocoa or dog hobble, and then we won't ever really have to come back here.
Yeah, we're just gonna make one little low maintenance spot.
Yeah, and then we'll just leave it and it'll be fine.
I'm gonna go get that fabric hose plugged in. We'll put a low trickle on this and get it tucked in for winter.
We've got the slow drip going, and the reason we have it so low and slow is because we want it to saturate deeply throughout that entire root ball. So there's two things at play here. Saturate the entire root ball so that the evergreen goes into the winter fully hydrated and ready to withstand the full sun and the winter wind, but also it helps to get any air pockets out of the planting hole that might have been left behind. So as it fills with water, the soil will settle and it'll help protect those roots. And this time of year, especially here in upstate New York this fall, we've had a drought. So anything that we've planted this season, especially evergreens and broadleaf evergreens like the hollies up front that we planted or any new boxwoods, we want to make sure we keep watering them up until the ground freezes, which normally for us would be Thanksgiving. But this year, it's been a very warm and very dry fall.
Next up on our list of late fall chores is installing these super hoops. This is our ingenious strategy for protecting the first round of blooms on the Tuff Stuff Top Fun reblooming mountain hydrangeas.
Good job.
They are young and we want to enjoy that first round of blooms that could get nipped by a late April, early May frost. So what we're gonna do is put these hoops in and then add frost cloth over it once we get deeper into winter, and that will help protect those from those days where it warms up and they think they should wake up and then it freezes and those little buds go away.
Yeah, that's what really kills those early flowers in our area in particular. They get confident and they're like, oh, it's time to wake up, and then that frost comes. So we wanted to get these in the ground before the ground freezes.
Right, and then they'll be stuck. And it's funny, with a lot of our winter protection strategy, we really can wait to actually cover them till pretty late in the season. So I'm gonna use this right here. I'm gonna use the black metal edging we have as sort of my guide to make this look relatively aesthetically pleasing. And then you really just bend them over and put them right in the ground up to this first sort of crossbar. They also come with an extension kit. I think we're gonna need the extenders for next year because these obviously will grow, but you can see how that's gonna give us a perfect little tunnel base to put our fabric over come late winter.
Should we extend it a little further past that one so that the far edge of that hydrangea isn't susceptible to the frost?
I'm going to be wrapping the frost cloth around the edge and
it goes
stapling
down to the
it.
ground?
Yeah, so it goes all the way to the ground like a big, huge blanket.
Perfect. The light today is so difficult, so thank you for your patience.
So I'm going to do this here, tuck that in. These are great also if you want to start early, like ranunculus or other kind of cold weather flowers in the ground that can't really take a frost. But in our case, we're going to use these for winter. And then maybe we will repurpose them after that first frost for something we want to get started early. They come in a 6-pack and we have 7. So spacing them out perfectly might not be an exact science,
We'll
but
go to the middle first. Find the very middle of the hedge. Actually, how many hydrangeas are there?
wait, we do have 6. Why did I think we had 7? That's funny. I'm just going to put one over each hydrangea.
Oh, perfect. We planted this hydrangea hedge with a little wooden rod that helped us space them perfectly. So we had one rod to space them perfectly from the edge of the patio.
Yep.
And then we had one rod of a different length to space them between each other. And these stay rather small. I think the Tuff Stuff top ones get
Are
about 3x3, right?
Yeah, I think they're closer to 3x3.
That's why they're the front edge, and they will be nice and full and bushy and touch and be luscious and filled with flowers next spring. I can already see this coming together perfectly.
Right? Doesn't this look like the perfect little solution?
It is.
And
And we're
when-
not going to cover them with frost guard yet. If we covered them right now, it's still highs in the 50s, and I think it would send a very confusing message.
No mixed signals for your big leaf and mountain hydrangeas.
It looks really-
Perfect.
yeah, I think it's going to be a great solution. I think that it's a good idea to get this stuff in the ground before the ground freezes. And then when do you think we will come out and cover them? Late December, mid-January?
Late December, mid-January, and we have little metal clips that actually clip the frost cloth, which is just, you know, a big long sheet, to each little piece, and then we'll wrap it up and maybe put a couple stakes in the ground if it's particularly windy. But this will be a perfect little solution just to give them that extra couple degree buffer for a late winter frost.
It's time to put away our Campagna International Catarina fountain in the color gray stone for the winter. This is about a 5-piece fountain. We installed it here in 2022, so we've had it 2 full seasons. I'm very happy with it. It is definitely a big splasher, so we have it set up on a smart plug attached to our phone so we can turn it on and off whenever we're out here. I wouldn't leave it running unattended. I think that it would quickly run out of water, especially in a breezy setting like we have here. But it's worked very well for us. I like the size. I like the simplicity of it. I've been very happy with it. What we're going to do to winterize it is we have to remove the pump, and then I'm just going to lay out some cloths, stack the pieces inside, and we're going to cover it. One of the reasons we disassemble it is because when it's covered with the tarp, we've got these tremendous winds that come from the west in our area. I would hate to see it blow any of these pieces over, because as you can see, it's stacked concrete, so it's not necessarily completely stable. I'm just going to go ahead and remove these pieces. Last weekend or the weekend before, we blew out the water with our leaf blower.
Which is always fun.
Yeah, that I have found is the best way to remove water from the fountain. We want to get this pump out, stored in the garage for the winter. This is a heavy fountain. I think it's a total of 800 pounds.
The bowl itself is the real doozy.
Yeah. And so, Christopher, look in here. This is the plug right here. We have to find the other end of this. There are so many little critter holes in the garden here. I'm hopefully, now that we've cut this catmint back, they're going to feel less safe and some hawks and stuff can find them. That's what I'm hoping. So
Okay.
I'll tilt while you pull up, you think?
Sure. If I put my foot right here and I hold this part of the bowl on my leg, you can push that part of the basin the base towards me.
I just got to get in the roses. Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Yep. Okay. Got it. Oh no, we're stuck. Got it. Wait. Whew, we're out.
Okay. Phew.
So
That's the pump.
This has little pieces in it that you don't want to freeze. So this is going to go in the garage for the winter.
Now, all I'm simply going to do is, just in case there's any rocking or anything from the wind, just going to put some of these softer cloths here. Lay these pieces inside, like so. I tried to pick that piece up with one hand. That was never going to happen. Like this. Actually, let me.
I think I got those in just a box of rags at some point. Perfect.
We have that. Wow, that thorn really got in there.
And then the final step is this hysterical cover that we got on Amazon.
Yeah, this just makes it look like a spaceship going to land. over. I'm gonna get down as tight as possible. That way snow won't collect right touching the concrete. How's that, Christopher?
That is as tight as that's gonna get.
And then we have a little bungee cord to wrap around the base. Here's that side.
And this has been very successful, at least last year it was.
Here's the other side of the bungee cord.
Connect those, and now that is locked in for winter. And it looks like a little mushroom. It's bulb planting time. So we have 3 different species of bulb, I guess you could say. We have Muscari, Tulips, and Alliums. We've already planted a bunch of the ambassador Alliums, and we're gonna be doing the same thing here and really bolstering up the display behind the Invincible Spirit 2s in the foundation bed. Again, because Alliums get that yellowy, ugly, fading foliage, which will get covered up by all of the hydrangea foliage of the Invincible Spirit 2, the Firelight Tidbits, and of course, the double play Blue Kazoo Spirea. So it'll give us the big, huge purple balls, but we won't see all the ugly foliage below, and those are perennial. So then I'm also gonna be doing tulips. I have a flag mixture, it's called. It's a little kind of creamy white, a creamy yellow, a purple, and a pink. Just a nice mix. I saw it, it was attractive, and I treat tulips as annuals. They really don't repeat for us that well, so I don't do too many of them. In this case, I think it's just 200. We'll put them in little bouquets around between 5 and 11 or so, just throughout the front to give a little interest in spring. And the Muscari, which we haven't really planted before, normally it looks like the little grapes on a little cluster, but these are more of a floret. They kind of look like, honestly, Eric, they kind of look like little purple loofah sponges.
Maybe. When I look at the picture, I think they look almost like hyacinths.
Yeah, they're more open than those little purple globes.
I'm interested to see, but they reminded me a little bit of the ageratum that we have in this spot during the growing season, and I thought it'd be really nice to replicate that purple in early spring.
Right, and now, spoiler alert, we'll probably be doing that ageratum again next year because it looks so good, and they'll just cover up any yucky foliage. So why don't I start from biggest to smallest? I'm gonna plant 3 different ways. I'm gonna use the auger for the ambassador Alliums because they are tremendous.
Look at the size. Grab
bulbs.
one of those, Christopher.
This is incredible. It's like a Vidalia onion, you know? And we did order these wholesale, so they came from a bulk spot. And I can't wait to see how big these actually get, because sometimes these flower bulbs take time to really fill out, but these are full size as far as I can tell.
Big, and you gotta plant them 3 times the height of them. So they're gonna probably be that full auger depth.
Yep, full auger depth, and that's where I will know to stop and then sink these down.
I think we're gonna place them first, just to make sure we don't double plant. This lighting is
Atrocious.
rough on camera, but it's gorgeous to have in person, this nice fall sunshine. And then there's ambassadors in here, and then I think there's also...
Are there purple sensations left?
I think they're the size bigger. What are those, gladiators?
Oh, if there's gladiators are a little smaller than ambassador, if I'm not mistaken. But they're all big and they're all gorgeous, so whatever happens, happens. Next up, we're going to be doing the tulips. We'd give you a tour of these finished allium plantings, but that's not very interesting to look at upturned dirt.
No, it's my least favorite part of bulb planting.
The tulips are very easy to plant. Again, pointy side up, flat side is generally down. Sometimes they're kind of wonky shaped, but if the worst comes to worst, plant a bulb on its side. That's sort of the rule I've learned over the years. A lot of this soil up in the front has been worked because there's been annuals here, etc. So it's not going to be so hard to plant the tulips because these don't have to go that deep. Maybe, you know, again, I use tulips as annuals. So I'm not so scientific. I'm not going to measure 6 inches down, the whole 9 yards. I want these in. They're going to come up and be beautiful, and then we're going to be popping them back out. So I'm just going to take a handful here and there along this front edge behind where we're going to be doing the Muscari.
And we're grouping them in odd numbers, like 5s and 7s.
Right. So let's say right here, this little section, we just want to see a little bit of color. I'm going to loosen up my soil here. And then you'll see my non-scientific tulip bulb planting. Yeah. Pointy side up.
Not paying attention to spacing.
Stick it in. So this might be 3. This is going to be, in total, 5. That's going to come up and just be a little bouquet in this spot. Perfect. So we'll do another one here. Yeah, this is the area of our entire property that's had the most compost. You can dig down and find crumbly, brown, composty soil. It's such a dream to plant up here.
Now, some people deal with critters and squirrels and things digging their tulip bulbs up. We're very lucky we haven't encountered that yet.
But we also only plant tulips in the front of the house just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, we don't plant them in the back because we do have deer. But if you want to avoid bulbs getting eaten or stolen by critters, alliums and daffodils and hyacinths are the way to go because
they're smelly.
They're smelly or toxic.
So Eric, I'm going to go ahead and plant my 200 of these flag mixture tulips around the front.
And it'll go quick.
It will go quick. I think I might switch to the auger as much as I like this. For this area, once we get to other spots, I'm going to want to use the digging tool.
The final bulbs we're planting today are these Muscari Fantasy Creation bulbs from Proven Winners. We're going to do the trench method of bulb planting. To me, it's the most tolerable method of planting. I'm just going to go ahead and create a trench right along the front, do like a hedge, reminiscent of what we had for the ageratum during the growing season. I'm going to toss the bulbs into the trench, make sure they're all facing the right direction, and then cover them up. I think it's going to be that simple, right?
It really is that simple. I think this is a good method for mass planting, especially mass planting something that only needs to go, well, technically I think it said 3 inches in the ground. Yeah. I don't even think it needs that much. Tuck them in.
We'll tuck them in. Here's some roots from these wee white hydrangeas. Whoops. Oh, and maybe those are
probably
crocus.
Crocus that we planted a very long time ago. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't.
The crocus are like really pretty and real. My biggest problem with bulbs, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with me, is the foliage after they bloom. And it's a necessity. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to leave them because that's how they get their energy from the sun.
For next year, if you're using them as a perennial.
But like the crocus foliage, even if you cut it back, it just keeps coming.
And then it looks a little bit like you have grass in your flower bed.
So I'm just gonna open these up and dump them in the trench, and then I'll go through and turn them upright. So yeah, they're pretty tiny, and I'm not worried about spacing.
They'll find their way.
They'll find their way.
The trench method.
I might run out.
I think we'll be okay. We did save 2 bags to repeat this on the other side. Just a little space. And I think
guide at a glance. Muscari. Oh, just below the soil line.
Yeah. So this is
perfect. Maybe my trench is too deep.
Oh, no, I don't think it is. I think your trench is perfect.
And then what I'm going to do now, go through, make sure the point is going up, nestle it in, not a straight line, kind of just like zigzaggy. Are you able to see that on the camera?
Yeah, it's a loose planting just as they come up. Maybe sometimes it's an inch apart, sometimes it's 3 inches apart. Just a little river.
Yeah. All right, that's it. All those bulbs are planted, Christopher. So I think the last thing on our agenda today is to spray for deer. And the reason we're going to spray for deer is because our yard enforcers had to be put away for this season. They are attached to water, and we don't want them to freeze and burst. So in the wintertime, we're going to have to be very on top of spraying for deer. I'm going to be using this DeWalt sprayer. We have tried battery-operated power sprayers, which have clogged and failed us.
The backpack sprayer that also clogged and failed.
We have tried the cheapy ones, which were fine for a season, but they didn't last. This is the best, I think, reasonably priced sprayer that we have come across.
I don't think, honestly, it's that expensive. And it's 2 gallons, which I think is perfect for the amount of product we need.
It's like a huge quality upgrade over the $10 to $20 range. And I want to say this is in the $40 to $50 range.
Last
right?
I looked, I think this was $39.
So we're going to use Bob-X. I ordered a concentrate. We can give you a link to this below. Now there's 2 different ways to apply Bob-X. One way for the spring and one way for fall winter. For fall winter, you do it a little heavier. And it says, shake well before using. In fall and winter, dilute 1 part Bob-X concentrate with 5 parts water. So it's 21 ounces of concentrate to make 1 gallon of ready to apply, and apply every 4 to 8 weeks. So today is mid-November. So then we'll probably have to do it once a month from now until June, when like all that fresh new growth is coming up.
There will be no close-ups of this process. I will be quite far.
It's so much easier to use the pre-prepared one, but it's so expensive, it doesn't go very far. This goes in here, shake it up. Now this is nice because it has an adjustable nozzle on it. And the other thing they advertise this as is like, you don't have to pump as much to get as much...
it's more efficient.
More efficient pumping. So I'm going right behind you to get these arborvitaes. We have had deer come up off the street. That just blew right on me.
Ew.
I know. I can't think of a worse garden chore. And I'm so happy to do it on film for everyone.
You're a trooper. I'm glad that we've learned that this is the last task of the day.
Yeah.
Because it's always annoying when you have more things to do, but everything just got covered in the deer spray.
It's true. I've also learned that right there is our fresh air intake for our house and to not spray near it.
Look at the bright spot those berry gold winter berries bring. Those are supposed to get 6 feet tall, aren't they?
I'm really excited about that. They're going to be a nice, humongous. But the other thing is we're going to keep cutting on them for winter decor.
Right. We'll start cutting on them eventually. So mainly you're hitting arborvitae, roses,
and big leaf hydrangeas. We still have that nice drip going on our juniper.
Oh yeah.
Probably very well watered. I'll adjust it a little bit.
Oh, I see that bright pop of the red winter berries too.
Yeah, I just covered them with deer spray, so I guess we can't cut them and bring them inside now.
Oops. Wow, this corner is so funny. There's so much of it that's that pink lemonade baptisia, but the shrubs behind it will eventually really overtake that whole area. This is definitely deer central. And I think you have exactly enough left from the look of that container.
Thank you so much for joining us today as we did a whole bunch of fall garden chores and running in the hydrangea room.
It really smells bad in here.
I can't imagine this won't keep the deer away. But again, I'm Eric.
And I'm
And
Christopher.
we're Grow For Me Gardening.
Thanks for growing with us.